Jeff Shalansky, who I believe has put together what I think of as one of the more interesting and innovative approaches to veteran suicide prevention that I have seen, which is a major reason why, along with the importance of the topic, I've invited him to speak to the leadership of Rotary District 5010 tonight. With no further ado, I will thank Mr. Shalansky and turn it over to him. Mr. Shalansky, it's your show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Start the recording, Rosie.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very, very, very grateful. And Joe, thank you for the introduction. Again, my name is Gunnery Sergeant Jeff Shalansky. I'm a retired Marine, 21 years in the Corps. Like I was telling some of y'all prior to, I'm an infantryman. That's all I've ever done. It's all I ever known. And quite frankly, it's all I ever wanted to do. Couple of disclaimers before we get started. I get loud and I get excited. So if you got to turn down the volume, you might want to do so. If I get too loud too, jump in and say, hey, cool it, Jeff, you're too loud. But I get passionate, and it's kind of who I am. But I'm here to talk to you today about FOB Razor, and that's FOB Razor. FOB stands for Forward Operating Base. And when we go off to faraway lands and deploy and to spread democracy across the planet, we operate and move in and out of forward operating bases. So when I tell one of my men or women that are in FOB, a member of FOB Razor, I tell them to come back to the FOB and come back to friendly lines. And we'll talk about Razor and why we call it FOB Razor here in a moment. But before we do that, Joe, would you mind go ahead and hit the next slide, please?
All right, there we go.
All right. Hey, before I get into FOB Razor, let me tell you a story. And before I even tell you the story, I got to tell you that, some of you may or may not know, but 22 veterans a day, 22 U.S. servicemen or women veterans die by suicide every single day. Now, you're going to hear, and you may hear in the near future, depending on, who's in charge and whatnot, oh, those numbers are declining and those numbers are going up. Well, I can tell you factually that the 22 veterans a day that are recorded as committing suicide every day, those are just the veterans that seek help, medical support from the Veterans Administration hospitals around the country. So that there's no accounting for the amount of veterans that commit suicide that are not treated by the Veterans Hospital. 22 veterans a day die via suicide. But I'm going to tell you real quick about a day that it really, really should have been or could have been 23. You see, the 23rd guy could have or should have been me. Like I said, 21 years in the Marine Corps, all of it infantry. And I've done my share to serve my country, but that's not what this is about. I will tell you though, that since the age of 25, there was no doubt in my mind that I was an alcoholic. I was physically, mentally, and emotionally addicted to alcohol. I was a slave to a beverage. It made my decisions for me. I knew it at the age of 25. I didn't do anything about it though, not until mid 40s. But at 25, I knew it. And you know what? There was other men, other leaders, other people that recognized it too. But I'm here to tell you right now, and this is nothing negative to be said about my leaders, because I love each and every one of them. I'm very grateful for them. But the reason why, as an alcoholic, an out there in your face alcoholic, I was able to get away with it for my entire career. And the reason why is because just like we wonder how come professional athletes go out and get in trouble and they still get the big payday, or they still get to play, or they still get to do this and we get upset about it, I can relate. Because you see, because I could run, because I could hike, because I could train, because I could fight, because I could shoot, and because I could swim really, really well, I got away with a lot of things. And people look the other way in regards to, my suspected alcoholism. That is, they did it for a while. As I started going through the rank system and I started doing pretty well for myself, and I started to see my share of deployments, which I'm very proud to say I did. My alcoholism combined with a little bit of post-traumatic stress mixed in there, and it became a little bit more. I became more of a problem for my leaders. I was that gunny. I became that gunny, that break glass in case of war type gunny, because when I was back in the rear, when I was back in downtime, you never knew what kind of wild, crazy stuff I was going to do. I got so bad that one of my leaders, one of my boss, to this day, he's a retired master sergeant, and if he called me today and told me to jump through a window, I would jump through the nearest window. That's how much I admire and love this man. And he came to me and he said, "You know what, Gunny, you can't drink anymore." He said, "As a matter of fact, if you drink anymore, you're not going to deploy with us anymore." And he knew I wanted to deploy at least one more time, get one more deployment in my body. And so I did. I quit drinking. And I quit drinking for almost 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. And this is how you know it was a problem. It was the worst 2 years of my entire life. If I could explain to you how bad those 2 years were, right at the end of that 2-year span was my retirement. I retired from the Marine Corps, had the ceremony, the glitz and glamour, the people, the friends flew in, the family flew in. It was this beautiful event that was was taken over the edge by this magnificent party afterwards. Should have been the greatest day of my life. And because everybody else was drinking and I wasn't, I was absolutely 100% miserable. You see, because not only was I sober, but my post-traumatic stress was starting to eat me up at the exact same time. I started to, nightmares started taking away my sleep. And I was just really anxious and really angry and really aggressive. And I said and did and meant to do hurtful things with my words. I was a miserable human being. After I retired, shortly after I retired, my then wife of almost 20 years and we split. We went our separate ways. I became a little bit too much for anybody to deal with. And we ended up going our different ways. So now I'm retired from the Marine Corps. I don't have that brotherhood anymore. I don't have the 0530 get up and go hike or go run going on anymore. I didn't have any of that stuff holding me, keeping me from doing what I wanted to do. And all at the same time, the exact same time, I'm starting to realize that I don't have the brotherhood anymore. That I don't have my men to hold me accountable. I don't have my mentors to sit there and teach and lead and hold me accountable. I started to use alcohol with no restrictions in any way, shape, or form. I started to, from that point forward, I used it. I used alcohol to pass out every single day, because not only was post-traumatic stress eating me up all day long, but it was owning my sleep. It was taking over my entire life, both awake and not awake. So if I passed out, I couldn't and I wouldn't remember my nightmares. And that was a good thing for me, I thought at the time. 21 years in the Corps, the other thing is, chronic pain becomes a part of your life. You do the hikes, the training, the fighting, God, the sleeping wherever you sleep. My body was chronic pain in my back and my knees was eating my lunch too. And again, I used alcohol to help block the pain. I woke up one day and I was all alone. I had pushed away everybody that mattered to me. Nobody could deal with me any longer. I was just too mean. I was too aggressive. I said mean and hurtful things. My family and friends, everybody that I loved, and everybody that loved me just couldn't take me anymore. And I woke up one day and I realized I didn't have nothing. I was a shell of a human being, and I couldn't stand myself anymore. And so I went to Walmart and I bought a shower curtain. Now, I already had a shower curtain at home, you know, I had an apartment, but I needed another one. And I went and hung up a second shower curtain in my bathroom. Because, see, I had already decided that in the near future, I was going to take my life. And I was going to take my pistol, and I was going to chamber a hollow point round, and I was going to pull the trigger. And I needed that shower curtain so that I didn't make such a big mess. I made the decision, and I decided it was time to go through with it. And I sat there in my bathtub, and I chambered around. I put the pistol in my mouth, and I started to pull the trigger. Now, I know y'all are Alaskans, so you understand your firearms. And I'm here to tell you right now that I was easing that trigger back, and I maybe had 1.5 pounds of trigger pull left. Maybe 1.5 pounds of trigger pull left on my pistol. And I had this, what might seem not like nothing to you guys, but for me, it changed my life moment. I got this dog. His name is Cup Holder. He's my German Shepherd. He's my service dog, and he used to wake me up from my nightmares. And he stuck his head in there between the shower curtain and the wall, looking right at me, and I had that pistol in my mouth. And I had tears coming out my eyes, and he just looked at me. And the only thing that went through my head at that time was everything and everyone has had to turn I forced them out of my life. I forced them to turn their back on me. And this guy's still here. His unconditional love for me is still here. And if I do this today, if I end this today, this is a guy that was given to me for the purposes of protecting and helping me. And what will he think? And is he gonna think it's his own fault? I also got really worried about, oh my God, what if they don't find me for 3 or 4 days? What's going to happen to Cup? And that was just enough of a break for me to take my finger off that trigger. And I realized, I wiped the tears from my eyes, and I said, what the hell am I doing? I got out of the tub, and I called my insurance company. You see, I now know that I was living with so many suicide risk factors today that I know about today, but at the time, it just seemed like a lot of things were piling up on me. And I know today that my service dog Cup Holder was my break. That was my snap out of it moment that was given to me. I was gifted by, and he saved my life. I'm here to tell you right now. Joe, could you hit the next slide, please? This is my dog Cup Holder. He's an old man now. You know, he's a 13-year-old handsome fella.
Wow.
You know, some people say that, you know, your dog and you end up looking like each other. I don't see it. But man, I wish I was as handsome as that guy is.
He's a pretty good looking dog, Jeff.
Yeah, he's pretty special. He's pretty special. We both got a little gray in the beard, too. Am I hitting the next slide, Joe? Listen, veterans, I hear you. Listen to this. To all the things that I had going on all at the same time. You know, I'm a veteran. I've clearly got an alcohol problem. I am abusing alcohol. It's abusing me. I tell people all the time, I was a slave to a beverage. It made my decisions for me. It literally, I didn't get out of bed without a decision made about alcohol. I didn't get to talk to my kids. I didn't do anything without alcohol making its decisions for me first. I was a slave. You compound that with the depression and anxiety, pardon me, post-traumatic stress, add on the major life changes. You know, I was somebody. I was somebody that I was proud of. I was somebody that my family was proud of. I was somebody that could be depended on. And now I'm just another guy. And quite frankly, I'm not just another guy, because I'm not doing it as well as every other civilian out there in the world is doing. I'm not handling any of this, and they're handling this every single day. Yeah, I had a lot of the risks of suicide were certainly there. And for me, you know what? Another one was that a lot of people aren't willing to talk about, but I'm not so scared to say it anymore. And I used to be. I was scared, petrified, because see, I saw civilians go to work every day. I saw them do this civilian stuff every single day and make it work and do what needed to be done to be productive people. And I was afraid I couldn't do it. I could lead 1,200 Afghans into the assault on Marjan, no problem. But I didn't know if I could handle life in a cubicle. And quite frankly, I was too scared to try. Next slide, please, sir. So here's the long and short of it all. I called my insurance company and I said, I need help. I can't do this. I said, I'm thinking really hard. I nearly killed myself. I'm a slave to a beverage. Nightmares are eating me alive. Nobody cares about me anymore. And quite frankly, I don't care about me anymore. I need help. And they said, Gunny, we're going to get you to a rehab ASAP. And they did. Boy, they found a place faster than I was ready to get there. I promise you. But see, I thought I was going to go to rehab and I was going to get cured of what ailed me. I thought for sure that if I went ahead and went to a rehab for 28 days, that I was going to come out of it and I'd be cured. No more problems. I wouldn't be a slave to a beverage anymore, and I certainly wouldn't want to kill myself anymore. I thought for sure that's what happens. That's what they advertise on TV. But that's not how it went, folks, and that's not the way it goes. You see, they taught me real fast in rehab. They said, Gunny, you're not here in any way, shape, or form to get cured. We're here to get you healthy enough, mentally and physically, to get out there in the real world and learn how to deal with life on life's terms. We're just going to give you an introductory to the tool, an introductory to the way about going about doing it. But we can't fix you here. We cannot in no way, shape, or form fix you. And I was like, what? That's not what this is about. That's not what the brochure said. But I'm here to tell you that's the facts. So when I got out of rehab, they said, Gunny, you're not healthy enough to go back to your apartment in Katy, Texas, just outside of Houston. You're not healthy enough for that. If you do that, you're going to drink again. If you do that, you are going to end up trying to kill yourself again. So I said, so what do I do? And they said, well, we found a place for you and your dog. It's a halfway house, and we think that's what's going to be best for you. You know, here I am. I'm a leader of men. Like I said, I've been all over the planet. And now I'm going to a halfway house, me and my dog. It's a nice ego check right there. A little bit of humble pie right in the old, smack me right in my soup cooler. But man, I'm telling you, it was the greatest thing in the world that could have happened to me. You see, I met this man there. This little old man you see in front of you, his name is Bobby. Bobby is an American hero. You see, that little old man right there fought in Korea. He fought at this little battle called the Chosin Reservoir.
Oh.
Some of you may have heard about it. An absolutely unbelievable battle where our American fighting men out there endured through not just enemy, but conditions that most men would cower before they even got started. But he fought there. Ladies and gentlemen, this man didn't just fight though at the Chosin Reservoir. He spent a year in a Chinese POW camp in Korea. This gentleman right here in front of you, this hero in front of you that you see there today, that cute little man, was systematically tortured for a year straight. They pulled his teeth out one by one, and just in an effort to torture the man. You see, this gentleman here decided that before I even got there, that he was going to be my mentor. He was going to be my coach. This is my Mr. Miyagi. And when I got there and they introduced him to me, there was no way you were going to catch me complaining about anything that I'd been through or anything that I'd seen. And you know what? This gentleman right here understood, and he felt what I felt. He'd been where I'd been and worse. He understood what the nightmares were like. And he understood what it was like to go through it all alone. And he wasn't going to let that happen to me. Bobby showed me a new way of living. He showed me a new life. He showed me a way to take a program of action and focus it on my post-traumatic stress, on my anxiety, on my anger, on my depression, and now on my thoughts of suicide. Man's an American hero. His name is Bobby Holdridge. Next slide, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, while I'm going through rehab, while I'm meeting Bobby, while I'm starting to learn all over again what it is to be a real man and to face the world head on, this good-looking young man right here, his name is Joe Razor, spelled R-A-S-O-R. This young man was my brother. We may not have been from the same mother or father, but we were born and raised in the same hometown. We fought in Iraq and Afghanistan together. This is my best friend. This man right here, Joe Razor, was my right-hand man. There was never anywhere that I went that I even had to think about whether he was going to be right alongside me, and vice versa. Joe Razor was a phenomenal man and a phenomenal Marine, and he was my best friend. And 6 months after I went to rehab, in the spring of 2017, Joe Razor put a pistol in his mouth, and Joe took his life. You know, I had no idea that Joe was hurting, just like nobody knew I was hurt. But I do know that when I found out that spring morning that Joe had taken his life, the first thing that went through my head was, my God, I'm learning how to do something he's never going to get to figure it out. So if you're wondering, people ever wonder what's Fob Razor and why is it spelled wrong? It's because Fob Razor is named after my brother, who I will see again someday. It's not anytime soon. Joe, would you hit the next slide, please? So now you know why I named it Fob Razor, Forward Operating Brace Razor. Let me tell you how it started. Driving down the road one day in Kingwood, Texas, that's just north of Houston. And my then girlfriend, now stunningly beautiful wife, my queen, my bride, we're driving down the road, and she, life is going well, and I'm happy, and I'm not used to being happy for this long a time, and things are going my way. I've been in recovery now for, I don't know, maybe 18 months. And she said, if you could do anything, if there was anything you could do, if there was anything that you just feel like is calling on you to make happen, what would it be? And I told her, I looked her dead in her eyes, and I said, man, I need to pay forward what Bobby gave me. I need to show other veterans what Joe Razor never got an opportunity to see. I said, I need to start a program for veterans like Bobby did for me. Now, my woman, and I'll talk to you more about her here in a minute, but she's not one of those people that let you come up with a good idea and then just forget about it. That's there's no good idea ship in our house. It pulls into port and people execute. You don't come up with a good idea in our family and just let it go. She's not going to let that happen. So we started to get to work, and about 12 months later, we opened up Fob Razor. We are a 12-step peer support group. And when I say peer support, we are veteran-ran, veteran-led, veteran-supported, kneecap to kneecap group of men and women who sit together and learn how to deal with life on life's terms. You see, I figured out that the VA gave me, they gave me doctors, and they gave me all these people that wanted to help me. But you know what? I lied to every single one of them because I didn't feel like they'd understand anyway. When you put a bunch of veterans together, a bunch of like-minded men and women who have been through similar things, the BS flag gets flown. And people are going to call you out on it, and they're going to know when you're not being honest. And that's what happens at Fob Razor. And then I said it, and a lot of people cringe when they hear it. But we are a 12-step program. You see, Bobby took me through the 12 steps. Some of you may have heard of them. They're in Alcoholics Anonymous, which was started in 1934, 36. And they've been successful. He showed me how to apply these exact same steps to what ailed me. Not only alcoholism, but my post-traumatic stress and everything that came along with it. He showed me how to apply all of those steps and all of those tools that come with those steps to dealing with life on life's problems and to get rid of all the issues that I have in my life that compounded these problems. A peer support organization isn't new. You got peer support organizations for alcohol, for drugs, for a gamut of different reasons. And that's why, the Veterans Administration recognizes 12-step programs for veterans today. When we first started talking about that, nobody could think about it. Today, they're starting to realize that this is a good thing and it has its place and it works. It's also recognized by the Mental Health Services and Substance Abuse Services at SAMHSA. It's a federal organization, and they recognize it as well. The other thing we do at Fob Razor is we train the trainer. We call it the freaking 3 T's, train the trainer. You see, I'm going to take a group of 1 or 2 men, and I'm going to show them how to work this 12 steps in order for them to learn how to deal with life on life's terms. And just like what happened with Bobby when he showed me, those men are going to be compelled. They're going to feel the need to pass this on to other people. So this gift continues to reciprocate, and it continues to work itself down the line. Joe, would you hit the next slide, please? We at Fob Razor, we take those preventative measures to prevent the suicide from ever starting. We take the common experiences that we've been through, and we recognize that although these issues we're going through are tough, we're not alone. That together, when we go through this, we can go through this together, and we can go through it together safely, and we can look out for each other together. I attribute it to this. The military, not once, never, not one single time in 21 years did they ever send me to go fight all by myself. But I tried to fight an enemy that was killing 22 of my brothers every single day all by myself for years. Well, today, I don't fight that fight by myself, and it's remarkably much easier. See, today I fight that fight with a platoon plus, a platoon with attachments. And when we fight this together, it lightens the load. It makes it that much easier. We encourage constant contact with one another. We meet weekly. We hope one day it'll be daily. We call each other regularly, and we buddy check not only each other in the program, but we encourage our men and women in the program to reach out to other veterans every Friday and check on them. Because if they're hurting, the chances are there's other people that are hurting. Just like when I was hurting, I had no idea Razor was. We also, like I said, we preach and we teach those 12-step way of life. It provides them the tools that they need to get out there in the world and navigate it on life's terms. We teach them that they don't need to be in charge of everything at all times, and they can't. But for the first time in their life, they start to realize that they're not the gunny anymore. They're not the hardened veteran anymore. They're not the one who's in control of everything and anything anymore. And they don't have to. And they can just focus on themselves and doing the next right thing for themselves. You know, one of the things you're going to hear is a lot of people, they don't talk about what are some of the things we need to do with our people when they are suicidal, when they are thinking about it. You know, we encourage when that happens, talk about it. I'm thinking about it. I just got off the phone before I called in with you guys, talking with one of my guys who's going through a tough time right now. Well, I talk to him. We talk. We talk about what's going on. We talk about why the answer isn't suicide. And we keep talking to each other, and we keep encouraging each other. And when I get off the phone with him, I make somebody else call. But we also say, hey, man, if you're not feeling right, if you're not doing right, if you're just not mentally there, do the next right thing. Let's go ahead and get some weapons away from you. Let's try to stop changing the way we feel through drugs and alcohol. Because I can tell you that for me, it didn't work. And for everybody that I've spoken to, when we're at our darkest hour and we need to stop feeling the pain, the drugs and the alcohol are only going to work for a short amount of time. And then eventually they're going to start to compound the problem. The last thing is about this page I want to talk to you about is, you know, they told me when I went to rehab, they said, hey, you are not here to get cured. See, I'm going to be an alcoholic for the rest of my life. I'm going to have post-traumatic stress for the rest of my life. I'm going to deal with anger and anxiety and depression for the rest of my life. Being in FOB Razor, being a lifer for life it's a lifelong mission. It's a lifelong goal, because this is our medicine. This is my medicine that I have to take on a regular basis, just like my blood pressure medicine. And that's what we encourage. You don't come to FOB Razor to get cured. We are a sustainment tool. We are an everyday come together, get our lives straight, get our heads straight, get our mind and spirit right, and get back out into the world. Next slide, Joe, please. Now, I know I've taken up a lot of your time, so I won't take up much longer, but I got to tell you about my secret sauce. My secret sauce is real simple, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you see that beautiful woman in this photograph, that is my queen. That is my bride, and that is Carrie. She is the one that doesn't let the good idea ship come in and just take off. You come in with a good idea, you're going to put it to work. But Carrie's not just somebody that doesn't let you drop your pack when you're tired. She's also understands recovery, not only as a family member of the wife of a U.S. Marine, a father or a daughter of a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart recipient, fought it with Big Red 1. But she also understands recovery, as she's been through it as an alcoholic herself, and she understands how the 12 steps have changed her life and helped her deal with life on life's terms. Carrie is also a brilliant businesswoman. She started her own company a decade ago, and it's turned into an international business. And she brings the business side, the business approach to FOB Razor, because let's face it, me and my men, we're just a bunch of crazy wild veterans. But she comes in and makes me understand and shows me that how we have to keep this in order to make this a long-term running thing, how we have to take a business approach to it. And she's a professional and she understands it. Me, like I said, I'm a Marine, 100%. I was born on this planet to be a Marine. I was a teacher at the School of Infantry, and I firmly believe that at that time, I was put on this planet to teach Marines how to fight. Today, I firmly 100% believe without a doubt in my mind that I was put on this planet for one reason and one reason only, and that's to teach veterans how to deal with life on life's terms. But my secret sauce, without a shadow of a doubt, is my queen, Miss Carrie Ray. Next slide, Joe. You know, we've only been open for 7 months, but in 7 months, we've served 55 veterans, both virtually and in person. We tell them, come to the FOB. Look at that FOB. Isn't that thing amazing? And you know what? With all that gear from Iraq and Afghanistan and all the, you know, all the memorabilia hanging around from all these different countries, I hate to say it, ladies, but it smells a little like a FOB too, but that's okay. That's okay because it's ours. But this is right here, what you're seeing is a picture of the FOB. This is where we get that kneecap to kneecap, train to trainer type stuff going on. We also got rooms in there for where we go ahead and we can meet for one-on-one meetings with our sponsors, our leaders, the ones who are going to take us through these 12 steps. Joe, could you hit the next slide, please? Now, we at FOB Razor, I know we're unique, we're different, but we know it works. And that's why it's important for us to have goals. You know, like I said, we've served over 50 lifers now, but in the next 12 months, our goal, we will have 156. My wife's into data. She compiles data. So if you're wondering, where's the 156 come from? She compiles data. If she says we will have 156, I promise you, we're going to have 156 lifers in the next 12 months. We want to be open 7 days a week. You see, when I first came out of rehab, I had to go to a meeting Bobby made me go to a meeting every single day for 90 days. Honestly, I went to probably 2 or 3 meetings every single day for 90 days. And it was a huge part of my life. I credit where I'm at today because of doing just that, making my recovery my priority. I had to learn how to live a new life, and that's what the purpose of it is. And that's why we will, at some point, we have to try to get open, to be open 7 days a week and offer multiple meetings a day. In order to do that, we're going to need to have trained staff. We're going to need to have a full-time employee. You know, when we're dealing with veterans, some of you have heard some stories. There's a security element that has to be involved. That's why at some point I would love for me to step in and become that full-time employee so that I can supervise, mentor, and secure our veterans and make sure we're all in a safe place. But we also have a responsibility to train not only any staff that we have, but the community. We're in the process of getting this module training called Assist for Suicide Prevention in. And we're going to take that opportunity to provide training to the people out in the public. Because, you know, the suicide threat, I'm sure I know y'all are aware of out there in Alaska, it isn't unique to the veteran world. This is something that's happening in every single facet of life in this country. And so making people aware of not only of the possibility of suicide, but what is the CPR we do for somebody when they're thinking about suicide or they're contemplating suicide? We need to educate. We're also in the process of, and we're going to publish our own books. We're writing our own books so we can make in Word and you know, project this 12-step this 12-step program in the military lingo and the military verbiage, so they get it and they feel good about it. Next slide, sir. If any of you men or women, or if anybody was to ask, how can I help you, Gunny? What can I do to help you in your mission? Well, I'm gonna hear you right now. The first one is the most important thing you can do. If you know a veteran who needs help, connect them, him or her, with me, please. This is, as you could probably tell, this is my passion. This is our passion, and I need to try to pass this on to somebody else. You know, like us on Facebook, on that Instagram, and you know, on all that social media. We're out there. If you notice, I put my cell phone number on here. I don't have but one phone. I don't care who it is. If they need help, give them my phone number, please. If you know any vets that are doing well, they've been through a 12-step program and they want to help out, put them in contact with me. And if you know anybody that would like to donate, you know, please ask them to go to fobraiser.org and help contribute to our goal of one day being open 7 days a week. Hey, the other thing you guys can do for me is wear my gear. I got Fob Raiser t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. Get it out, wear it on your head, put the shirts on. And when people say, what is Fob Raiser? You can tell them all about what we're doing out here. Ladies and gentlemen, I talked to y'all for 41 minutes, and I do apologize for that. I know it was a long, long talk. I get long-winded because I'm extremely passionate. But I want to say thank you to all of you out there very much for this opportunity. It was an absolute pleasure, and thank you again for letting me spread the word. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Joe.
Gunny, don't worry. They're used to me as district governor this year, holding the floor and then some. It's just fine. Passion. Rotary asks people about their passion, and you know, passion's a good thing when it leads to constructive things. So we'll open the floor to questions or comments. Francis, I think you had some.
Yeah, Jeff, that was very good, very powerful, super good. I have two friends, hunting and fishing buddies, who committed suicide. And big surprise, I and my other buddies had no idea. But I'm reminded of something you said that I think we should share with everybody else. One of your comments about what to do with people who might be in danger, and you mentioned telephone calls, contact, et cetera, et cetera. With one of our buddies, me and another guy, called him lots of times. Hey, come fishing. Ed, come on down fishing with us. And he'd always say, oh, I'm busy. I'm busy. We were dumb. We didn't really know. What we should have done is gone over to his house and grabbed him and put him in the car and said, we're going fishing. We should have understood. I think there's a lesson there. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody isolates themselves, that might be a sign. If somebody does not want a buddy does not want to be with you, shuns you, doesn't want to take advantage of the invitations that normally us buddies would have given to each other, that's a sign. And I wish we would have known it at the time. And
Sir,
the same thing with the second buddy too.
I hear you. And first, I'm sorry about your buddies. I know that pain, and it's horrible. And you're 100%. You hit the nail on the head, sir. I can tell you from my personal experience, I pushed everybody away so they'd stop asking me. And you know, that's the one thing about when you know, to answer your question, absolutely right. That's when we need to start thinking about it. But you know, it's so far from our mind that it's hard to really say that we think somebody else might sometimes. That's the advantage of where I'm at with Fob Raiser, is when these men and women walk in the door, most people don't come to a place like Fob Raiser on a winning streak. So when they walk in the door, they're immediately, you know, part of this tribe. And so when they start to pull away from it, we can actually intervene. And you know what the neat part is, like, sir, you said it, you served, we're pushy. No, you are coming with us. You will grab your fishing pole. So yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
It's George. I have just a quick comment for Jeff. With respect to your goal of publishing your own documents for taking care of the 12 steps and everything, my brother, who is a Army veteran, Air Force veteran, 30-some years associated, been to Vietnam, just recently wrote a book himself, and he'd be more than happy to help you if you're interested, because he has found a way of publishing a book. He did everything at zero cost. All it took was time and effort, and the publication was free for him, and it's very reasonable for getting it out to people. So if you would like to, he would be more than happy to help you.
Oh, absolutely, Mr. George. My bride is sitting right next to me, and she heard everything, and she's telling me to write that down, write his name down.
Especially the word free, right?
Hey, you know these entrepreneurs, they that's their favorite price.
Yeah. I have a question, Jeff. What does the acronym ASSIST stand for?
You know what, sir? I cannot, off the top of my head, I do not recall exactly what it stands for. I'd have to get back to you. I can't.
No, then that's okay. What I really like more in particular is the approach of training the trainers, because that lets you replicate knowledge and disseminate it at essentially zero cost. And in some ways, that having developed an effective program, broadening the approach to that and broadening its outreach is probably the single most valuable thing you can do. And it's certainly the most cost effective.
And if I could caveat on that, you know, when the military, especially in the Marine Corps, comes out, whenever they roll out a new tactic or a new weapon system, that's exactly how they get up to speed on it. You know, the headquarters Marine Corps will bring 30 of the youngest and the brightest, and they'll say, hey, we're going to teach you how to do this. Now go back to your units and show everybody else. Train the trainer. And that's, so when I bring this approach that this is a train the trainer type thing, the light comes on and they're like, yes, I remember that. And they want to remember stuff like that.
And that's actually a pretty well-known term in the civilian world, especially in the psychological and the things, et cetera, et cetera. We do have a comment about what you're doing about women veterans. I presume they have many of the same. Okay, I see an answer here. Applied suicide intervention skills training was what ASSIST stands for. Thank you, Louisa. What are you doing about women veterans? I presume that they have many of the same problems.
Well, great question, sir. Well, we have women veterans that come to our Saturday meeting, and that's where they're at. They're with their brothers, and they couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And we're all for it. We're also trying really hard to start a women's only meeting. And we field that on Wednesday evenings. You know, it's not growing as fast as our regular meeting is. And, you know, it's really obvious as to why. You know, less than 1% of our nation's men and women join the military.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're talking about a 95% male force. That's 1% of our nation's population. And the 5% that are female, you know, that's a really small population of people. But we're trying. One of our lifers is an Army veteran, and she's kind of spearheaded that Wednesday night meeting. But it hasn't taken off yet, but it will, sir.
Yeah, in a very real sense, given that the women with combat experience are such a small subset, in a way that makes them even more alone, because
yes, sir,
they have fewer
absolutely.
people to reach out to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I recall that the Corps had an outreach program in Afghanistan where the women would go on patrols and would tend to outreach to the Afghani women. And from what I understood, that was quite effective.
We had lionesses, what we called them on my last deployment. And they were small, or FET teams was something they were called in different theaters too, female engagement teams. And you're absolutely right. These lionesses or FET teams, they rolled in with us dingy grunts, and their job was to reach out, make contact with, and show love and support to a population, let's face it, of women who'd never seen love really from anybody before.
Yeah.
So
Who else? I've gone through the questions and the comments. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's George real quick. I sent you a text with my brother's email.
thank you, sir, very much, Mr. George.
Oh, Jeff, I'm a short timer. I got 2.5 months to go. But I one of these, my own approach to life is to basically pedals to the metal. I could phrase it a little bit differently. And I'm sure one of our recent DGs, who's a fighter wing commander, would have phrased it more directly. But I am a short timer, but we'll do what we can to go and maintain contact and see if we can get a good intersection going here.
Appreciate that, sir.
Anybody else? Oh,
Yeah,
Francis.
Joseph, I think it'd be a good idea if you're to get all the contact information from Jeff and maybe disseminate it to all of us in an email.
That's a good idea. Let me make a note. Let me make a note of that. I know that our incoming DG, Cheryl Mativa, incoming district governor on July 1, has a particular interest in these things. Jeff, would you send me your complete contact information? And what I'll do is I'll post on the website, and I've sent too many blanket emails to people already. But if you send me your contact information, I'll post it on the website along with your talk, and I'll mention to people that it should be there.
I will certainly do. I'll have it done probably 5 minutes after I get off the hook with y'all today.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Francis.
I think to end it, I think we should all say to Jeff, thank goodness your puppy was there in the shower at the exact right time. It must be a super, super good dog. And good luck to you. And good luck to Fob Razor and all the other vets coming to you.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, Cup Holder's a pretty amazing guy.
I will put in a plug for German Shepherds, typically having 2 at a time. My wife, who's in Montana, just picked up a 3.5-month-old puppy that housebroke himself in two days.
Wow.
German Shepherds can be incredibly good dogs. I'm a big believer. You can see ours, just kind of our 100-pound 5-year-old snoozing on the couch behind me. That's kind of his couch, so we just threw a blanket on it and don't worry about it too much anymore. So I'm definitely a proponent of German Shepherds, where they're properly socialized and raised. Anybody else?
Good
Once.
program, Joe.
Pardon?
Good program.
Jeff, thank you so much. We'll formally end the program now. And if our Lieutenant Governor Rosie wants to just stop. Oh, we have 2 hands up. We have one up from Woody and his wife, Woody Ongston, his wife, and one from Janine. So
I was just applauding Joe. I was just thanking Jeff. Thanks,
got it.
Jeff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Woody's just applauding too. Jeff, thank you for a superb presentation. You've
It was
opened
an
up
honor, sir. Thank you.
Guys, we can stop the recording now. Anybody who wants to sign off, thank you so much.